Okay, all right. And I am waiting for my co-host, my guest, Takesha Chambers Williams, to join me. And this afternoon, we are going to talk about the Evergreen prospecting sequence meets the Evergreen event sequence. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be a blast. So thank you guys. For those of you who have joined me already, thank you for joining. Let's see who we have here. We have Daryl Mohammed. Hi, Daryl. How are you? Thank you for joining. And then we have Sherry. Hi, Sherry. Thank you for jumping on today. I saw that you were on the earlier blab that we did this morning about 5 savvy ways to use live streaming for your business exposure. So thank you for joining me once again. And then we also have Kathy Job. Thank you once again, Kathy, for joining us this morning as well. Okay, so I'm just waiting for, like I said, my guest, my co-host, Takesha, and we're going to get started shortly. Okay, so if you're out there and you're joining me, go ahead and share with me a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and what it is that you do while we're waiting for Takesha to join us. Okay, all right. So it's 12 o'clock, so I'm just going to go ahead and jump in and get started. And I guess Takesha will join me when she can, okay? So today on this blab, the title of the blab is called Evergreen Prospecting Sequence Meets Evergreen Event Sequence. So I know many of you out there are wondering exactly what does that mean? What does this Evergreen Prospecting Sequence mean? What is the Evergreen Event Sequence? Well, first, I'd just like to start off by defining the term evergreen. So if you've ever heard of the terms evergreen in business, sometimes I know many of you have heard about the term rinse and repeat. So this morning or today, I am going to share with you and clarify the difference between the two, okay? So I know you've heard about the rinse and repeat model and, you know, the evergreen revenue model or the evergreen prospecting sequence. So we're going to talk a little bit about that this morning. So how many of you out there have heard about the evergreen, I should say, heard about the rinse and repeat model? And rinse and repeat is when you take an action to produce a result. And in order for you to continue to produce that result, you do what? You continue to do that action over and over and over again. Okay. So you just said it worked. You did it. It worked. So why not just go ahead, rinse and repeat it, right? So I know many of you out there have heard about the rinse and repeat model. Well, the problem with the rinse and repeat model is that particular result that you're trying to achieve is tied to your actions, or it's tied to your labor. So you have to continuously take that action over and over again to achieve that desired result. So here Takesha is, she's joining me. Hi, I started it without you.
I'm like, hi everyone.
They want to keep everyone waiting. Okay, so I was in the process of defining the difference between the rinse and repeat model and the evergreen model. Okay. So I just started out by saying many of us have heard in business before about the rinse and repeat model. And the rinse and repeat model is when you want to achieve a particular result in your business, you take certain steps or you take certain actions to get to that desired result. And it worked, right? Mm-hmm. And what did they tell you to do? They tell you just go ahead, rinse and repeat it. Go ahead, take those same steps and repeat it all over again. Okay. And the problem with that is, in order for you to keep achieving that particular result, you have to keep doing that labor or that action or that activity over and over again. So the question becomes, what happens when you're not able to do that particular activity? What happens when, something comes up in your business or something comes up in your life and you physically yourself can't take those actions to get that desired results? Then everything just stops. Okay. And as entrepreneurs, that's one of the biggest problems that we face in our business today is consistency. Because a lot of things that we do in our business are tied to our physical labor. They're tied to the things that we actually do ourselves. So now I'm going to share with you the evergreen revenue model and why you want to have an evergreen revenue model in your business. Now, when something is evergreen, the definition of evergreen is you create it one time and it keeps working for you over and over and over again, regardless of you taking an action or not taking an action. So you put a system into place and that system works for you over and over again. So that's the difference between having a rinse and repeat model and an evergreen model for your system, for your business. So today, we are here to talk about the evergreen revenue model, and we are talking about two particular areas of the evergreen revenue model, which is the evergreen prospecting sequence, and we're also talking about the evergreen event sequence, which Dikisha is going to share with you. And I see that we have a guest, and his name is Dwayne. Welcome, Dwayne. Thank you for Dwayne. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just butchering everybody's name today. I'm renaming people all on Blab today. Thank you for joining us, Dwayne. Welcome. Okay, so today I'm going to start with a couple of short definitions, just so we could be clear, because one of the things that I've learned throughout life and also throughout business, if you want to be clear on what it is you're doing, you first have to define exactly what it is you're doing. So I'm going to start out with the definition of marketing. And marketing is a process that you use to generate interest in your products, your service, your business, or your mission. Okay, so I'm going to say that again. So marketing is the process of which you use to generate interest in your products, your service, your mission, and your brand. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times what I find is people confuse the marketing process, or they confuse marketing and they confuse sales. They kind of want to tie the two of them together. So I hear it all the time. Well, I did a lot of marketing and that didn't result in any sales for me. But it's two different processes, okay? So marketing, once again, is the process of which you generate interest in your products, your service, your mission, or your brand. And sales is actually the process of converting your prospects into clients, okay? So two different processes, two different spectrums of the brand, okay? Now, I'm also going to share with you the goal of marketing is to get people, or is to generate interest in your products, your service, your mission, or your brand on a regular and consistent basis. Okay? So that's the goal of marketing. The goal of marketing, once again, is to generate interest in your products, your service, your mission, or your brand on a regular and consistent basis. And that's going to be the keywords that we're going to use here today, consistent. So we're going to talk about being consistent. Okay, so a lot of times what I find the reason why we're not consistent in our marketing is because we don't have a system in place. So many of us, as entrepreneurs, when we first start out, we don't have systems. And the point of having a system into place is to generate consistency or help you to be consistent in your efforts. Mm-hmm. So first, we're going to talk about putting a prospecting system into place. So Dikisha, I know you've heard it said before that many small businesses go out of business within the first, 97% of small businesses fail
within the first 5 years?
Within the first 5 years.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. And so a lot of times, people tend to believe that they fail because of money.
Financial, absolutely.
Financial reasons. right?
It's actually 97% of businesses actually fail within the first 3 to 5 years because of lack of financial and marketing skills. So
Mm-hmm.
really understanding how to generate interest and awareness around their products, their services, their mission, and their brand. So, I think what you're saying, and I apologize, I was a little delayed. So you may have mentioned it earlier, but a lot of times, and I was sharing this on the last blab, we have these great ideas, we have these great concepts, and you just don't know how to generate the interest around it, how to get the word out, and there's several different ways. So this is why this information that you're sharing is really, really important, because you have so many different ways that you can get the word out, but what they're missing is the pieces that link it together with the big picture. And that's where the evergreen revenue model is really important. But I know you were going to ask me a question. I get excited.
No, it's fine. I love it. I love it. What I was about to say is, what I find, the reason why, businesses fail most of the times is because they don't have a system in place. They don't have systems in place to consistently market. They don't have systems in place that would allow them to consistently generate revenue. Okay.
Right.
So what are the systems that you're putting in place? So one of the first things that I like to, teach people and share with people, the first thing that you need to have is a prospecting system. That's the first thing.
Oh,
okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. What is your system for prospecting? And having a prospecting system in place ensures that you could quickly generate prospects on a regular and consistent basis for your business. And that's where it all starts.
Yeah.
Okay. So sometimes I see people want to jump all the way. We talk, like you said, we mentioned this on the last blab. They want to jump right in, to come to my event or come to buy, come and get my product or buy my product, but they haven't done, any prospecting. They haven't done, or they're not consistent in their marketing, which means that they haven't found a way to consistently generate that interest in their products, their service, their mission, or their brand.
And I don't know if you mentioned earlier that really this information is for those individuals that, have a great idea that they want to launch or they want to bring it to fruition, or even having an event. Sorry, of course that interrupt me, but a lot of people just kind of jump in, and I mean it's kind of like jumping off a cliff. I had a young lady call. She has this it's not really a challenge, but it's like a 7-day sign up, and she's like, I got it, it's all typed up, and I just want to send it to my email list. And I'm like, okay, that's great, but what are you really doing to drum up the interest behind it? Like why would somebody want to actually do your program? And I think that's the piece that people are missing when you're prospecting. When you're identifying with your system, the difference between a lead and a prospect, they don't get the idealization or ideology behind what it really means to actually go step by step. You can't just jump out and say, I'm having an event in 30 days. And just because you posted on Facebook, you think that the world is going to show up. It just doesn't work like that. There has to be a system in place where you're actually interacting with these individuals that creates the relationship that make them want to come, not just because they saw something posted on social media.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. So, so I'm glad that you mentioned that. Okay, because that brings me back to what I always like to start off with. I always like to start off defining what a lead is. Okay. And a lead is someone, who just had the opportunity to hear about your product, or hear about your service, or hear about what it is that you do in your business. That's the definition of a lead. Okay. So sometimes, we get all excited and we go, yay, we're doing all this stuff. But exactly what does it mean? How does that translate into the bigger picture of getting through the process of generating revenue? So I'll take it one step further. And the reason why I call this segment the Evergreen Prospecting Sequence and not the Evergreen Lead Sequence is because there's a difference between a lead and a prospect. Okay, so now I'm going to share with you the definition of a prospect. A prospect is someone who has indicated by their action that they're interested in your products, your service, your mission, or your brand. So you see, a lot of times we don't distinguish between the two. We go to networking events. Like you said, we're on Facebook. We have our business page, we post our event, we're making posts and people are liking and all of that other stuff. But we haven't given a substantial call to action to define or help us identify the people who are willing to take that next step.
And right there, right before you go on, here is like, this kills me every single time. And you know what I'm getting ready to say.
Okay, go ahead, say it.
It's like, some people have a list of 10,000 people, right? And they think that, I have this list of 10,000 people, I can generate $10,000 a month. Or would you rather have a list of 10,000 leads? Or would you rather have, would you rather have a list of 10,000 people who are genuinely interested in the products and services that you offer? Or would you just rather have a list of people that you got their business cards and you just uploaded it to your list?
Right.
Like, that's not really a genuine profitable list. That's just a bunch of names in your database.
Right.
And so now it's just filling up space because ultimately they really don't have an interest in what you have to offer. So your conversion rate is a little bit off because they're not really your ideal client. I'd rather have a list of my ideal clients on my list and it'd be 1,000 or 5,000 than a list of just, every Jane, Joe, and Joseph.
But you're absolutely correct. And that's what it's all about. Okay. Because people, get names from everywhere. I've seen, Dakisha, and I'm not going to call them out. People download their contacts from their cell phones.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
okay. That would download. And then, I have a list. Or, when I first started out, in my entrepreneurial journey, that's what I started to do, manage CRMs. Okay. And countless business owners would tell me, I have a list of 20,000 people. I have a list of 10,000 people. I have a list of 50,000 people.
Right.
They're expecting all of a sudden when they do these things, when they have these events, they have this product that they're offering, that the money is just supposed to, come flooding in. Okay. The step that they bypass is giving the call to action, finding a way to pull out the people or identify the people who are interested and ready to take that next step with you. Okay.
Right.
Then that's the part that you can't skip over that part. You cannot skip over, the process of giving a call to action so people could identify that they want to get to learn a little bit more about you. Okay, so we do have some formulas here that we share on the Evergreen revenue model. So I'm going to share the first formula, and I promise you this is going to be fun. And I hope that, these terms, this terminology, these formulas become everyday terms that you're going to start to use in your business. Okay, so the formula number one, okay, interest minus an action equals a lead. So if you have someone who's interested, they have not taken any type of action, okay, on your product, service, offering, or whatever, they're still a lead. So I'm going to share with you the Evergreen revenue formula number two. Interest plus an action equals a prospect. So now when you have that lead that takes an action, they now move, that person that takes an action, they now move from being a lead into moving into being a prospect.
So can you give me an example of what you mean when you say take action? What are they doing?
Okay, what are they doing? So here's a perfect example, okay? Many of you are on here because you're looking at all of these different social media platforms and you're hoping to touch and engage more people, okay? And you want to be able to develop a relationship and a connection with them. And eventually that relationship would lead into something deeper, like them becoming a client.
Right.
So you could give a call to action similar to the one that I'm going to give now. So I have a free offer that I would like to offer to the people who are listening here on the Blab today. So if you would like to receive my 7 steps to generating prospects using social media, you could text the word 10K prospects. Once again, that's the number 10, the letter K, prospects, to 240-428-6333. Once again, text the word 10K prospects, that's all one word, to 240-428-6333. Okay, so that's a clear call to action, Dikisha. So what it lets me know, if people are on here listening to my blab, okay, and they want to receive some information from me, information of value, okay, the call to action is text the keyword to the number. Okay, so that would help me identify all the people who are listening to, on here, who are ready to receive information. And then I know what they're interested in, because if they take that call to action, then I know they're interested in generating prospects using social media.
Okay, good. Thank you.
So that's my example for how you give a clear call to action. And that's the thing. When you're on sites like these, whether it's Blab, Periscopes, you're doing your Hangout, you always want to make sure that you give a clear call to action so you're able to identify the people who are ready to receive information from you, or more information, I should say, from you. Okay.
No, I think it's just important that they understand when we say take action, what does that really mean? So I'm glad that you were able to clarify that.
Okay. And then I have one more formula that I'd like to share, which is the Evergreen revenue formula number 3, which is interest plus an action plus seriousness equals a client. So once again, interest plus action plus seriousness equals a client. So I know some of you are out there like, wow, Taria, how can you judge seriousness? What's your gauge for seriousness? Seriousness is, you could tell when a person is serious in working or getting to know more about you by delivering a series of call to actions. And that person takes those actions. Okay, then you're able to step through, a particular process to achieve a particular result. Okay, so once again, the definition of a client is interest plus action plus seriousness equals a client. So let me just say this, Dikisha, if you've noticed, it's all about the conversion. It's all about what we're doing to convert strangers into leads, leads into prospects,
right,
and prospects into clients.
Well, that's my favorite word anyway.
Conversion, yes.
Take it back to the numbers and really understanding how, and a lot, and I'll share this in a little bit, but, even when you're building your list, you have to look at the numbers in order to convert, what's the big picture? How many leads do I need to have in order to convert? So no, that's my language. Okay. Shout out to Sherry. Is it Sherry?
Yes, Sherry. I got it right now, Sherry. I got it right. Okay. All right. So now that we've gotten those definitions, out of the way, let's address the problem, with the revenue. Okay, because I know that's what we're all here to learn about. We're all here to talk about. How do we get to that revenue goal? How do we step someone, through the process of hitting that revenue goal, and not just hitting the revenue goal, but hitting the revenue goal on a regular and consistent basis.
Right.
So, Dikisha, I'll just share a short story with you. I remember the first time that I ever been to an event. It was at an event. And I heard the speaker from the stage talking about making $10,000 a month in my business, how to hit the infamous 6-figure marks.
Right.
And I'm not gonna pretend. I was scared. I was just like, wow, $10,000 a month. And I was scared. I was a little doubtful. I was a whole lot skeptical. Because I'm just like, yeah, you up there talking about, all of that, but how does that apply to me?
Right.
Are you going to tell me what's the process? What's the step? What are the things that I need to do to get to $10,000 a month or 6 figures in my business?
Wait for it.
And Dikisha, I sat there, like you said it, I waited for it.
Wait for it.
And I waited for it. And I waited for it.
I'm sorry, it's not funny. But you're right.
But she didn't share with me. All she said was that it's possible. Okay. And she gave me that hope.
Mm-hmm.
And while I felt good knowing that I could do that, I was still a little confused. Like, how do I get there? What's my roadmap to get to, 6 figures?
But you know what, not I was gonna say you are, but you were just like a lot of other entrepreneurs. They go to the conferences, and it's funny because I just had this conversation with someone that's actually on the Blab right now. We go to the conference, we get amped up, we get fired up, and then you get home and it's like, well, they told me what the possibilities are, but now how do I get there?
Right.
I'm at home. I don't have no blueprint. I don't have a roadmap. I don't have any instructions. Right. Somebody said, boom. And so it's funny that you said that because you hit it right, nail on the head. But go ahead,
but that's how I felt. And I know if, I felt that way, I know that there were other people in the room who felt that way too, but we were just all scared to ask the question, like how, how do you get there? Okay. So I'm here to share with you.
You got to pay for the how.
And I've paid for the house sometimes. Still didn't tell me.
You gotta pay for the house.
Okay. And they still didn't tell me. But today, that's what I'm going to share with you. So I'm going to challenge your thinking. Okay. And this is what I, love to do with my clients. Challenge the thinking. So let's kind of, change the way that we think about certain things. Okay. So the first thing that I'm going to have you challenge your thinking in doing is let's replace that revenue goal, that $10,000 a month that you want to hit. Let's replace that revenue goal with your list goal. Okay. Well, Taria, what do you mean by that? Okay. So let me first share with you the value of a lead equals $0. Okay, but the value of a prospect is equal to $1.15 per person per month. Okay, so let me say it again. The value of a prospect is $1.15 per person per month. So that's what your list should be worth to you. If you are prospecting in the correct way, when people come onto your list, each prospect should be worth, each prospect is worth $1.15 per person per month. So I'm going to challenge you, okay, to replace that revenue goal. And I'm just going to use the number 10,000 to make it easy. Let's replace that number of 10,000 that we have in our mind, $10,000, replace it with the goal of getting 10,000 prospects on our list each month. Okay, so the first thing that you have to do is replace your revenue goal with your list goal. So I know some of you are like,
yeah, one more time.
Replace your revenue goal with your list goal. You want to replace your revenue goal with your list goal. Okay? And I know some of you are out there wondering, you're going, wow, 10,000 prospects a month? How am I going to do that? How am I going to get 10,000 people a month on my list? What does that look like? Well, let me share a secret with you. It takes just as much energy for you to give away a product than it does for you to sell a product. The same steps that you have to go through to sell a product, you have to go through the same steps in giving away a product. But there's a difference. Okay, there's a difference in the results that you achieve when you give away a product versus selling a product. You see, when you sell a product, the results is instantaneous gratification, which means they get your product, you get their money, they're in their own way, they're gone. And a lot of times we never connect with that person again. Okay, but if you give away your product and you give away your product in the right way, okay, then what you're able to capture is something more valuable, which is the information. You're able to capture that information that allows you to keep marketing to that person over and over and over again. So as you grow and develop in your business, you develop new products, you develop new things in your business, you're able to take that person along that journey with you. Okay. So you see, a lot of times we're really making it harder than it has to be. We're out there trying to grab new people.
Right.
Okay. Which, in fact, if you focus on building, a list of interested people, a list of prospects, okay, then you repeatedly have people to market to over and over and over again. So the last thing that I'm going to challenge you to do is replace your list goal with your giver's goal. Okay. And your goal should be each month to get your free offer, get your free product in the hands of 10,000 people each month. That should be your goal. Okay. And so I know I have 2 minutes
some
left.
people are like, wow.
Yeah, I know I have 2 minutes left, but I just wanted to share with you an acronym that I keep in mind here, and it's called I AM. So if you guys could just remember this, this is where you want to take out your pen and your paper and you want to write this down. It's called I AM: information, action, money.
Yep.
Okay. So first, you collect the information. Second, action. Third, money. People pay you first with their information, second with their action, third with their money. I want you guys to remember this. People pay you first with their information, second with their action, third with their money. If you ever take it out of order, you'll cut your revenue by 80%. Okay, every single time. So a lot of times we want to go from the beginning straight to the end and grab the money, and we leave the most important thing on the table, which is the information. Okay, but once you have the information, you're able to come back to that person over and over and over again. You could step them through your process, because remember I said it's all about having a process. You could step them through your process. You could provide value over and over and over again. Okay, and then when that person is ready to make that commitment to work with you, convert into being a client, they'll convert into being a client over and over and over again, because you have created a systematic way to keep your information in front of them at all times. Okay. All right.
No, that's good. I'm actually sitting here. You know me, I'm writing down my revenue goal, my giver's goal.
Right.
If you see me looking over here, I am literally over here calculating, and I'll share with everyone in just a second. But no, that's awesome.
Okay. So I know Dikisha, she's going to take over the second half and get into the Evergreen event sequence. But I just shared with you just a little secret. And this is the part that I find in my business that people skip over. They skip over the whole prospecting part, the whole aspect of marketing, and they go straight to, I have an event. Okay. And a lot of times we're doing events, such as broadcasts, we're doing webinars. And then I get the calls, Dikisha, I get the calls with the sad faces. I could just see the faces, over the phone, and they go like this. Nobody showed up for my webinar. And it feels so hurt and it feels so dejected. And then I have to ask the hard questions. And some of the hard questions, okay. How many people did you invite? Okay. Where did you put your invitation?
Right.
Okay. And a lot of times I get the silence at the end of the phone, because they have totally skipped over the prospecting part. They've totally eliminated or forgot that this is something that you have to do on a regular and consistent basis, regardless of whether you have an event or not. Let me just say that. You should be prospecting regardless of whether you have an event coming up, a broadcast coming up, a webinar coming up. It should be something that you're doing on a regular and consistent basis. That's why it's important for you to have a system and a process in place in order for you to do that.
No, that's that's very, that's a really sad face.
Sherry said that's a very sad face. I'm sorry.
No, you're absolutely right. And the Evergreen prospecting sequence is just the beginning phases of, really looking at different ways to generate revenue. And, we get those same calls, Taria. They probably call you and then they turn around and call me. And, it's Dakisha, again, what happened? I hosted a webinar and no one showed, what did I do wrong? Is my content, do I have good content? And, no one is interested in what I have, but really and truly, they really don't understand the impact that the numbers have, and not necessarily the content. You do want to make sure that you have great content, but you also want to make sure that you're getting the exposure. And so a lot of times we can't just rely on one way to get individuals into our pipeline. And that's what we do. And I think I was saying earlier that we concentrate so much on, posting on Facebook and hoping that they will show. Well, what else are you doing?
Right.
That's where the important piece of the Evergreen event sequence comes in, because there are certain steps that you have to take in order to help increase your show rate on your broadcast, or even at a live event. I remember last year, Taria, I had the business boot camp.
Okay.
And let me tell you, that is some hard work. Like trying to get 30 to 50 people in one room at one time. Like I was literally on the phone. I was on social media. I was inboxing individuals. I had my email marketing going, content marketing, and I was out pounding the page.
Wait. So you mean if you post it, they will come? Doesn't work?
No. If you post it, they will not come. And I mean, and it just burns me, because so many people think that, I posted it on Facebook, so I'm just going to.
Yep, sit back. I see that all the time, Dakisha. I mean, the infamous one. They'll create the event.
Oh yes.
And not invite anyone to the event.
And so one of the things that I kind of help people do is even when you're launching a product, you're launching an event, or you're having a crickets, right? Crickets. There's certain things that you really have to put in place. And so I like to stick with the 10,000 a month as well, because the goal is to help the clients generate 10K per month. And I mean, really, it's funny because, years ago, I'd be like, man, 10K, are you serious? But if your product is priced right, it's like, yeah, what's up?
Right.
I need to sell 4.
Exactly.
It's on. Game on. Let's go, Taria.
Exactly.
Taria and I be on it. You sold one today. I sold one today. And I mean, and literally, so and here's what I want you to understand. There's a combination of things that really have to take place. You, number one, have to have a certain product. You have to understand the price point of your product. And then you have to work backwards. And, it's funny because you have to have the end results in mind, and because your product is going to determine what your conversion rate is going to be. So you need to know how many people need to show up on your broadcast in order to have a 1% conversion rate or a 5% conversion rate. Right. And that's what, that's where I really help them, because if we're going to get 10,000 gifts away, we want those 10,000 people to come into our pipeline. We want those 10,000 people to be introduced into what it is that our products, our services, and our mission or our brand. Okay, well, how do you do that? There are different ways that you can promote your event. We'll just stick with the event, whether it's a live stream or whatever it is. You have social media marketing. That's Facebook. That's just one avenue. Right. You got social media advertising that you can do as well, where you can really drill down and target who you want to be exposed. Exposure is the key to be exposed to your live stream or your broadcast. And mind you, I'm just telling you one way. So Taria has told you about the prospecting sequence. So she's giving you a gift, and I don't think she went into a lot of the detail, but there's some follow-up that comes along with getting that gift. Okay. And in that follow-up sequence has some email marketing involved in it. So what is Taria going to do? Taria's going to introduce the broadcast in her follow-up for gift giving. So now you have invites from email marketing. We talked about Facebook or social media marketing. You have tools where you can use text message marketing systems. So you can literally send out a text to say, hey, I'm going live in 30 minutes.
Right.
We have software that actually do that for you. We automate it so you don't have to worry about it. But again, that's only 4 ways now. And there are so many other ways. And one of the things too that I really like to do, and Taria, we got to do a training on this.
Yes.
And you know what I'm getting ready to say.
But before you share your point, I just wanted to say this because you touched on the thing about the point about email marketing. Okay. Now, I always tell people this: email is still the best way to convert your prospects. It's still the best way, okay? Because using email, you have a better way of communicating. You could invite people over and over, but it's just how do you get the people in? How do you first get them into your list, okay? And then like Dikisha mentioned, in that email communication, you want to continue to deliver value. And a lot of times we skip over that part too. You want to go straight from, now that they got this, let me invite them to my event. And I think if you were on earlier with Vanessa and I, we used the dating analogy. You know, how do you meet someone for the first time and then you go straight to marry me? Okay?
Right.
So don't forget, it's still a courtship. Business is still a courtship. It's still a dance. Okay. Never forget that your clients, like to be romanced. Your prospects like to be romanced. Okay. So how are you building that relationship with them? And you always have to keep that in mind. Build the value, build the value, build the value. It's all about the value.
No, you're absolutely right. I'm going to tell you, I get so many requests on LinkedIn. And the first thing they do when I accept or connect on LinkedIn is, hey, Dikisha, thanks for connecting. You should check out my website. We've got this really great product. I'm like, really, dude? Like, it was nice to meet you too. Like, my day is great. My kids are doing well. And so, how unattractive is that? I mean, same thing when you're talking about the dating scenario. How disrespectful is that when we connect, the first thing that really comes out of your mouth is what you have to offer? Like, that doesn't add value to the relationship at all. Whatever happened to what is it can I do for you? How can I serve you? And that's one of the things that you have to keep in mind as you are building this relationship with your prospects. So that's just that's some of the things that you can do to create the awareness around what event that you have coming. And then the other thing that I was getting ready to say that I'm not going to spend a lot of time on is what we call retargeting or remarketing. So once they have the initial exposure, in marketing, most of the marketing gurus would tell you that you really have to touch people 7 times before they make that interaction. And Facebook remarketing allows you to do that. Now, because they've been exposed to it, a lot of times they may not just take action. So now you can actually come back again and expose them additional times and remind them, hey, I have XYZ, or, utilizing your magnetic marketing questions in order to captivate their attention and captivate the audience to make them take action. Hey, Joan.
Hey, Joan just joined. I saw we have Eva Laura joined us. So thank you for joining us, Eva Laura. I saw Anthony T. Yabera. I know I just butchered that. I'm butchering names all day today. So please forgive me, Anthony. Thank you for joining us. Joan Corner Woman Wilson, thank you for joining us this morning.
Absolutely.
She said, what you know good, ladies. All is good. It's all good, Joan. It's all good.
That's right. So, and here's the next piece too, in regards to being able to set up the sequence. One of the things that, I just had a thought. One of the things that is non-negotiable when you have an event is to have a registration page.
Oh, yes.
People need to be able to register for your event. this is another way.
Breathe.
Yeah, right.
Breathe.
You can tell I get passionate about it. So many people make these mistakes. I cannot tell you how many times, because again, guys, it goes back to being able to look at the behavior of your prospects. Mm-hmm. And that's what I think we don't stress enough of, watching the behavior of your prospects, because you need to be able to quickly make adjustments in your sequence based on their behavior. And if you don't have the systems in place or the strategies in place where you can monitor the behavior, then it really Nicole Ruffin just joined, and I had told her about it earlier.
Oh, nice. Hi, Nicole. Thank you for joining. Welcome.
Yep. She came in right in time, because this is perfect timing. Because when you have something that you want to offer someone, a squeeze page or a registration page is really, really critical, because just think about it. If someone was to see an advertisement or a post on social media and it takes them directly to a website, and you do not gather that information, you just negated everything that Taria just taught you. Mm-hmm. You just disregarded everything that, I'm telling you, and you have no way of getting back in contact with that prospect or lead. I'm sorry, because they haven't taken action.
Right.
You have no way of getting back in contact with that lead to say, to have a conversation. And that's really important, because when you are converting, it's going to take a conversation. People are not just going to go to a website and spend $397 who have not built a relationship with you.
The like, know, and trust factor. And like you mentioned, I saw that, a couple times this week. Okay. People are doing events and they took them straight to the pay page.
Right. Like, really, it's just like, it's just like walking to me and say, hey, can you buy me a drink? No.
You clicked from wherever you saw the promo for the event, and it took you straight to the buy page. Okay. Now, and it was a coaching moment, because I had to go back and share, like, okay, so now let's take a look at this. Okay. For you as the business owner, for you as the entrepreneur, you have no idea how many people saw your event.
Yep.
Was interested in your event, but was not ready to pay. Okay, well, because you I was just about to say, because you forgot to do the first thing. You forgot to collect the information. And I say this all the time. Get the information first. Information, action, money. Get the information first. Sometimes we want to go for the money. Get the information first. Because if you had collected the information, how about this? How about an email sequence for those people who have registered but have not paid as yet for the event? What type of follow-up can you put in place?
Absolutely.
Okay, to now convert that person, to get that person into your paid event.
And even if they've been exposed to the registration page, here's something that needs to go on the registration page that people miss. Not only do you need to have information about the event or the offer, but you need to have the benefits.
Yes.
Let me self-select whether or not I want to proceed.
Right.
Tell me why this is going to work for me. Tell me why I need to be in the building. Why do I need to be at your event? What am I going to get from driving an hour and a half, 2 hours to 4 hours? I drove 4 hours to Philly about maybe 3 weeks ago now. Mm-hmm. But on the site listed the benefits of why I needed to be there. And a lot of times entrepreneurs make the mistake of not listing out specifically what's in it for them. And that's what they want to see. They want to see what's in it for me.
Right.
You need to tell me, why do I want to be there? And if I just click on a link and I just see a link to buy, like you're not telling me why I need to spend my money. So one of the things that needs to be on your registration page, you need to list out the benefits before you just take them to a checkout page. And so I think that's very important, a piece, because what's going to happen, Taria, is once they register, whether they're registering for the event or once they register to get more information, simultaneously, you're automatically starting what we call the Evergreen email sequence.
Yes.
And there's about 10 emails that go out to this list to keep them informed about the upcoming event.
Right. And that's another thing. Okay. So sometimes too, I see it on the other hand where people do get people to register, for their event. And then on the day of the event, there's no one watching the event. No one is on. And then I get the sad face again. I'm not going to make the sad face again, Sherry. I'm not going to do it. I get the sad face again. Well, no one was on and no one watched. So now the question becomes, well, how did you remind them? What was your process, in reminding them? What was your email sequence before the event? What was the communication? A lot of times we forget this. What's the communication that you're having during the event?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we talked about this a little bit on the other blab before, how you could engage with people when they're on platforms like this versus your Google Hangouts versus your Periscope. Okay. And then even after the event, what's your follow-up after the event? So sometimes we just leave people hanging. They came to the event. We don't say thank you. We don't do a recap. We don't send a replay link. We got us deuces. We're gone.
And it's so true. And, and then you wonder why you're not making the revenue that you want to make. You want to know why you're not hitting that $10,000 because you didn't follow up. They may have been interested and they may not have had that money in their account when they were at the event. But payday is coming soon.
Right.
They might get paid every 2 weeks. So if you don't follow up, you can't have that conversation about, what is it? How can I help you? What can we work out? But you just don't get me started. I know we only have 10 minutes left.
but it's true.
Y'all said it's the first of the month.
I'm fooling around with Joan. Joan called us the Evergreen Gangsters. That's what she called us. Hashtag Evergreen Gangsters. Okay, so it's no more digital divas. It's just straight up Evergreen Gangsters. Okay, but no, it's so true because a lot of times we kind of, I heard someone say this yesterday, Dikisha. Okay, and it really stuck with me. Sometimes in our minds, we make up the objections for our people.
Yes.
Okay. And that's what hinders us a lot of times from following up. Okay. Because people don't take that action. When we put out the action immediately, we go through the head trap, and we start making excuses for them. They haven't made any excuse.
Nope.
Okay. But we start doing it for them. Okay. And it stops us from following up the way that we should. So I'm here today to tell you, no, don't do that. Okay. Still put your follow-up in place. Give people an opportunity after the event to connect with you. They might have questions.
Right. No.
Okay.
Right.
The silence might not mean no. It could just be, I have a question.
Well, and it's two things. The first thing, one of the things that I used to teach my team, and when I was in management, because we used to have to sell high ticket items. And so once you say that price and you ask that question, whether they want to take the next steps, and if they're thinking, and I remember sitting in front of a lady making the decision, silence is a good thing. People misunderstand that silence is a good thing. You just sit there, you tell them the price, and you wait. You literally wait, because I'm going to tell you what they're doing. They're psychologically programming what needs to happen in their bank account or their retirement account or their money market account. Somewhere they have some money sitting or grandma's account, mom's account. They're really thinking about what is it that I need to shift around in order to make this happen. Like, I literally saw her doing it, and she picked up the phone, she made a phone call, and she proceeded with the sale. So a lot of times we kill the sale when we, this is what I can work out. No, shush.
Yeah, be quiet. Silence is golden. Be quiet.
Because you're actually letting them think it through. Until they say no, Dikisha, I'm not interested, I allow them to make that decision. But, and then the second piece of that, like you were saying, the follow-up is in the Evergreen email sequence, because there are certain emails that need to go out in advance of the event. And then you have emails that go out after or post-event, follow-up event, prior to or after the event. And then you have an email that invites them to the next event. So, you know, there's a process that needs to be in place when you're actually looking to get individuals to come, you know, and participate in your event. And literally the event sequence also deals with, you know, just a quick overview. Not only do you have your registration page, you have the actual event, whether it's a live stream event or the actual live workshop. And so, you know, once they have participated in the event, there's a sales sequence that takes place too, like we were just talking about. Because when you're having these events, workshops, or live streams, you're going to offer something at the end. That's the goal. You want to generate revenue. So you need to have a product in place so that you can pitch your sale. Now, sometimes when you're having different, you know, platforms like Periscope, platforms like Blab, you might offer the opportunity to have a discovery session or needs assessment session where then you're having the sales conversation. But sometimes you may just say, go to this particular website, and you want to make sure that you have a domain that's user friendly and doesn't have a lot of /period here, so that it makes it very easy for them to go and make that, you know, purchase. So the sales page needs to be very specific, again, listing out the benefits, what's included in the product that you are offering. And not only do you need to have the sales page, but you need to have a checkout page. Now, you notice we've been talking now for 50 something minutes, and this is the first time I said checkout page. So that goes to show you that after the registration page does not come your checkout page. Right. There's a process in place. Notice how long it actually took for me to say, okay, here's your checkout page. Okay. And so, you know, once they go into the checkout page, there's other processes in place as well, because what if they don't buy? You know, Taria just said it. What if they don't buy? Then yeah, you know, you need to have a follow-up sequence in place. And there's tools that we use and tools that we teach our clients to use in order to stay in the conversation. Right, exactly. Stay in that conversation. So, you know, I'm so glad that we decided to bring this information. I hope that it's helping, you know, the individuals that are watching. I appreciate all the hands, the props, giving us the props. You know, props. I see Todd Hyman out there. How you doing? And you know, I would really love to go through the entire process. So, you know, she said, "What's next?" Oh, that's the best question. I love it. So, you know, and here's the thing: once you have a client, what do? A happy client is your biggest cheerleader, and that's our Evergreen affiliate sequence and our Evergreen ambassador program that we teach as well. So that's my piece on kind of helping you put together some nuggets, some strategies, and helping increase your conversion on your broadcast. You know, one of the things that I did not share is, you know, when you get to the money piece of it, and the goal should be to get 10,000 people. You can do it over a 12-month period, okay? Because, you know, I don't want to stretch, you know, some people out too far where they're like, man, forget it, Dikisha. And I want you to think about it. So if you have 10,000 people that you're trying to get on your list over the next 12 months, okay? So, okay, Dikisha, how many people really are going to show up to my broadcast? Well, let's just say that you have a 10% conversion rate to actually showing up. That's about 1,000 people actually showing up, if my math is correct. So when you get 1,000 people on a broadcast, you're going to convert about in between 1 to 5%. So what is that? 100? That's about 100. Yeah, if you take it down to 1%. Give or take 100. So if you can sell 100 people at the price point of $9.97, How much is that? Do we need to get the handy dandy calculator?
No, that's your $10,000 right there.
I mean, like, did I overcomplicate it?
Nope, not at all.
Did I overcomplicate it?
Not at all.
How easy it is. So here's the trick. Do you have a $9.97 product in your business? Do you have a product for $9.97 in your business? And I mean, it even works for a $10,000 product. If you have a $10,000 product, your numbers go down. You know, you don't have to convert 100, in order to make that amount. So that's where you have to really understand the numbers game behind getting the conversion rate up. So focus on 10,000 prospects and creating exposure to 10,000 people to attend your event, because you're going to convert about 10% to actually show up. So push for the stars.
Yep. And that's what it's, and I like what you said about that, Dikisha. And then like going back and just saying it, put a process in place. This is not something that every time you decide to do an event, every time you do something, you have to recreate it over and over and over again. That's what breaks the consistency in our marketing. It breaks the consistency in our revenue, because we know the things that we need to do, but we're just not consistent in doing those things. Okay. So if you start by putting your prospecting system into place, where you're consistently generating prospects for your business, when it comes to inviting them to your events, you would have people to invite to your events, and then you step them through your process to convert them into clients. Okay, so it's all about what systems and what processes that you're putting in place to ensure that you have an evergreen revenue model. So that's what we're having, an evergreen revenue model in your business. And we specifically broke down the evergreen prospecting sequence and the evergreen event sequence.
Way to go, Nat. I just got to give it up to Nat. Nat said current mastermind was $697 for his students.
Nice.
The price to $997.
Good job, Nat. Good job.
Let me tell you, my job here is done. When you can change just one life at a time, that's all that matters. It makes the last 60 minutes worth it, because we just impacted one person's life. You are absolutely amazing.
Okay. All right. Okay. And so I think some of you out there are asking how you could connect further. They want to know what the next step is, Dikisha. Okay. So the next step, if you connect with myself, once again, by texting the word 10K prospects to 240-428-6333. I guarantee you will get an invitation for the next training that Dikisha and myself are going to do. Okay. So we are dedicated to bringing this information on different platforms. Okay. So today you're just joining us on Blab. This is my first day. First day on Blab, and I already did 2. Okay. Okay. It's 240-428-6333. And you want to type the word, or text the word, I should say, 10K prospects. So that's
one more time.
The number 10K prospects.
248.
Okay. All right. So
240.
428-6333. So that means I have to get me my little whiteboard, a small one. I have a big one. A big one. I didn't put it up, but I got to get a small one. Okay. So we are dedicated to bringing information on the Evergreen revenue model. There are different parts and different pieces to the Evergreen revenue model. Today, we just happen to cover 2. And we're bringing the information on different formats. So today we're on Blab. Who knows? You might see us on a Google Hangout next week. You might see something from us on Periscope. Okay. But just stay tuned. All right. Okay. So thank you guys. That is it. Have a wonderful day. Thank you for joining. Bye-bye. My recording won't stop.